Did you know riders are still burning cash, losing performance, and shortening engine life because of myths that should have disappeared years ago? Here's the surprising part. These myths sound logical. They spread fast. They hide inside habits that feel right. But today, we're breaking all of them, one by one, in plain English. By the time we're done, you'll hear the same garage talk you've always heard and instantly know what's truth and what's noise. And we start with the myth that drains wallets faster than any upgrade, because the next one gets even stranger. Some riders proudly fill their tanks with premium fuel, thinking it's power juice. The sticker is shinier, the price is higher, so it must be better, right? Not exactly. Octane doesn't mean more power, it means knock resistance. If your manual says regular works, premium won't magically add horsepower. On many everyday bikes, running too high in octane can actually burn less efficiently. That means no more speed, no better throttle response, and sometimes worse cold starts. Test it yourself. 3 tanks using the recommended grade, then 3 tanks with premium. Track the mileage and smoothness. Most riders notice no improvement, just a bigger bill. Use what your engine was built for, because the next myth doesn't just waste money, it quietly steals engine health while the bike is standing still. And to understand why, we need to look at one of the most common morning routines in riding. It looks caring. Start the bike, let it idle for 5 to 10 minutes, sip your tea, then ride. Except modern engines don't warm up best at idle. They want light load, not lazy idling. Oil pressure, ring sealing, and fuel delivery all behave better once the bike is actually moving. Too much idling causes fuel wash, carbon gunk, and moisture buildup inside the exhaust, especially on cool mornings. The best warm-up is simple. Start the bike, count to 20 while checking your lights, brakes, and leaks, then ride. Short shifts, modest revs, smooth throttle. You warm the engine faster, cleaner, and safer. But if idling is the slow leak, the next myth is the loud hammer that refuses to die. And this one has been repeated for decades. If noise alone made riders safer, every emergency siren would face backward. But sound projects behind you. The driver about to merge into your lane is usually in front of you, with windows up, music on, and no idea your exhaust is doing its best concert behind them. Noise helps at walking speeds, but at highway pace, it's nearly useless. Real safety comes from lane positioning, proper headlight aim, visible gear, and smooth, predictable movement. Create a visibility triangle, bright gloves or helmet, a clean low beam with the right cutoff, and a tiny weave when entering a conflict zone. Movement catches the eye better than noise ever could. And if loud isn't safety, many riders assume big engines must be. Except the truth is nearly the opposite, because the next myth tricks riders into thinking horsepower equals protection. More power can pull you out of trouble, but it can also put you in trouble twice as fast. Big torque plus low experience equals panic reactions, target fixation, and corner entries that fall apart. True safety is mostly vision and timing, where you look, how early you prepare, and whether you leave yourself a spare what-if line. 2 quick drills change everything. Early throttle roll-off to smooth your corner entry, and the light brake preload when you sense hazards, shrinking your stopping distance without drama. A sharp rider on a 300 can outstop, outturn, and outpredict a sloppy rider on a 1000. Buy displacement if you want, just don't treat it like armor. And while we're talking control, the next myth lives right where rubber meets the road. And it starts with a fear that riders still repeat today. Old manufacturing used heavy mold release, leaving tires greasy for miles. Modern tires aren't like that. Yes, they look shiny, but no, you don't need hundreds of miles to scrub them in. What you need is progressive calibration. First 50 kilometers, keep lean angles small, then add a few degrees at a time. Avoid abrupt throttle or braking and let the tire come to temperature gradually. One proper session of controlled lean and you're basically done. What's risky is riding gently for weeks, then suddenly leaning hard when you haven't calibrated yourself. Tire myths waste grip just like fuel myths waste money. But the next one hits deeper, right inside your engine's bearings, and it begins with a habit that sounds gentle but isn't. Low RPMs sound calm, but inside the engine, they're not. Heavy throttle at low RPM spikes cylinder pressure while oil flow is modest. Bearings take uneven hits. The ECU protects the moment, the metal pays later. If the bike shudders or knocks when you roll on in a tall gear, that's not efficient, that's long-term wear. Find each gear's happy band, roll on around 20 to 30% throttle and feel where vibration smooths out. Stay there. That's where the engine is happiest under load. And if lugging is the quiet killer, the next myth is the handyman shortcut that destroys chains faster than any riding style. You've probably seen this spray can in every garage. WD-40 is great for cleaning light grime and pushing out water, but for chain lubrication, not quite. On O-ring and X-ring chains, solvent-heavy sprays can pull out factory grease. That leaves your chain looking pretty and wearing out faster. Better method? Clean with kerosene-based chain cleaner, lube with dedicated chain lube or light gear oil, spin, apply thinly, let it rest, wipe excess. You get smoother power, less fling, and longer chain and sprocket life. But the next myth costs riders even more because it hides in fancy labels, and it's a marketing trick many riders fall for without noticing. Sometimes motorcycle-specific matters. Brake fluid must meet DOT specs. Coolant chemistry must be seal-safe. Fork oil needs proper viscosity. But microfiber is microfiber. A quality automotive wax protects your paint just as well. A good glass cleaner cleans your visor. Build a lean kit. pH-balanced wash, chain cleaner, proper chain lube, quality wax. Save money where labels shout and spend it where the spec actually matters. But even perfect products can't help if you follow the next myth, one that sticks riders inside rigid schedules. And this one quietly wastes time, parts, and money. Service intervals are safety nets, not handcuffs. Brake fluid lasting 2 to 3 years is normal. Oil changes depend on riding style. Coolant often lasts years. The real trick? Condition beats superstition. Check brake fluid clarity, coolant color and smell, oil level and feel. Simple inspections save far more than over-servicing ever will. But even perfect fluids won't help your riding if one component stays untouched, and this one affects every corner, every bump, every mile. Factory suspension settings are built for an imaginary average rider. You're not that rider. If the bike chatters over bumps, wallows in sweepers, or feels unpredictable, your sag and damping are mismatched. Fixing it is simpler than most people think. Set sag to roughly 30 to 35% of total travel, adjust rebound so it returns cleanly without bouncing, and set compression for proper support under braking. 1 hour with a notebook can transform your whole ride. But riders avoid suspension tuning because of the next myth, the one that traps people at the same skill level for years. And this is where progress finally unlocks. Miles build familiarity. Practice builds skill. Ride the same habits for 10,000 kilometers, and you don't become better, you just become consistent at your current level. Real progress comes from intentional reps, emergency braking drills, smooth corner entry markers, slow speed balance, head turning practice, and throttle clutch finesse. 10 focused sessions beat a season of autopilot commuting. And once skill starts compounding, the final myth disappears too. The myth that tricks riders into thinking riding well requires fancy gear, expensive brands, and a huge budget. But it doesn't. Not even close. This is the biggest marketing myth of all. Yes, safety gear matters. Yes, quality parts matter. But riding well? That starts with clarity. A torque wrench set to spec, a clean chain, tires warmed with smooth lean, a rider who rolls off early and looks ahead, a bike set up for your weight, not a brochure. You don't need fancy, you need understanding. Myths survive because they're easy to repeat and fun to believe. Reality is quieter, simple, consistent. Use the fuel your engine asks for. Warm up on the move. Be seen with light and motion. Keep the engine in its happy band. Lube chains with lube, not solvents. Buy smart, not flashy. Check fluids by condition. Tune suspension for your body. And build skill on purpose. Break the myths, and your bike lasts longer, rides cleaner, and gives more joy every single day. You become the rider who quietly gets it right.